Hey everyone, Slambo here. Got one that's not a contest entry and not a thread this time. This is some recent pickups. Earlier this week I had a photo shoot all the way up in Fond du Lac, and when I go that far I kind of like to look around and see what else is around me, so it's not a single purpose trip. And when I got to the location where the photo shoot was, right next door almost, like two stores down, was a Goodwill store. So I had to stop in there and see what I could find. Can't leave it, it's since it's right there next to where I'm supposed to work for the day, I can't just let that one go. So I haven't mentioned this very much on the VC because it doesn't connect very much with vinyl or recordings, but it is a type of recording. I also collect Kodak cameras, and I found this little camera there. This is a Kodak M24 Instamatic movie camera. You open it up there. It takes 8mm film cartridges. So you just snap the cartridge in there, close that, and here is the 2 AA battery case, folds down, and then there's the trigger to start it. So you're looking through there, making your 8mm film. So that's a little fun thing that I got there, but it's not quite records. I did find some records there, but it was pretty slim. So that was kind of the redemption from that trip. Starting off with the CDs, there was one CD out of everything that they had there that I was interested in, and that's this one, Alligator Records Christmas Collection. I grabbed this one out of the probably 40 or 50 Christmas CDs that they had there on the display, and that was probably about half of the CDs that were on the display rack there when I went there. I grabbed this one because of some of the artists and some of the titles on here. So Coco Taylor starts it off with "Merry Merry Christmas." That's a name that I've heard a lot and heard some of the recordings. But then we've also got further down, "Deck the Halls with Boogie Woogie" by Katie Webster. And then "Santa Claus Wants Some Lovin'" by Tinsley Ellis. That would be interesting to hear. Then further down we've got "Christmas on the Bayou" by Lonnie Brooks. And then the one that really clinched it for me to put this into my cart was one by the Sapphire the Uppity Blues Women, or Sapphire and the Uppity Blues Women. The title is "One Parent Christmas." So that one's got to be something that fits into my collection. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will very soon. I listened to the other things that I got there first. And we'll look at the next one I want to look at is one that I definitely need a new 7-inch sleeve for. There were only like 5 singles in the rack there. But here we've got Faces. And then it also says, from the Warner Brothers album, "A Nod's as Good as a Wink to a Blind Horse." It was this title that got me to get it, "You're So Rude." I didn't know anything about this until I played the other side, "Stay With Me." That's a song that I had heard before, but I never knew what it was called or who it was. So now I know a little bit more about that. "You're So Rude" on the other side does fit in the comedy collection, but only just barely. There's only really one line on here that kind of fits. So it's one of those that yeah, it fits, but it's not as funny as I hoped it would be. The 12 inches, there weren't very many that really fit into my collection. There was a lot of classical music and a lot of sort of Christian-ish, country-ish type of music that really just does not excite me at all very much. I've heard some, and no, that's not quite my style. But then I saw this one, and what caught my eye was, of course, Shelley Berman. I've got several of his records. This is Shelley Berman and Eileen Heckart, starring in the new musical comedy "A Family Affair." So this is a Broadway play, a soundtrack from a Broadway play. This is only the music from the play. It doesn't have any of the dialogue. And let's see, and there's the cast down there at the bottom with Shelley Berman all the way over on the side there. So all of these people sing on the songs on here. And let's see, reading here, "A family affair is the riotous story of what happens after boy gets girl. The first line spoken on stage is 'Will you marry me?' and the last, I now pronounce you man and wife. It is the events that take place between these two lines which make for one of the funniest and most entertaining evenings of theater you will ever enjoy, story-wise, acting-wise, and musically speaking. Well, musically speaking, I wouldn't say it was one of the funniest. There were a couple of lines in there that were good. Let's see, the inner sleeve is a United Artists advertising sleeve. It's interesting to look at, but not necessarily related to the record itself, other than the label. So there it is, United Artists with the dots on the top. So there are a couple of good lines in here, and being Shelley Berman, this fits into my collection. And there's a few lines that made me giggle a little bit, but definitely not the funniest record that I found ever. The real prize in the records from that trip was this one, Jack Teagarden and his orchestra. It's Time for Teagarden is the record name. And this one is kind of a compilation record. I should have looked at this when I was in the store. I played this one first, thinking that it probably would be the winner. And the reason I say I should have looked at it first, it's on clear red vinyl. That's cool. So there's the label there. You can sort of see it there. And there we go. So these are all recordings that were made in 1941 and 1945. Jack Teagarden, for those who don't know, he was a trombonist. He played with Louis Armstrong in the Hot Fives and the Hot Sevens for a little while. He also played with, in the 1930s, he played with the Paul Whiteman Orchestra. And then after the Great Recovery from the Depression, he went out on his own, forming his own band, Jack Teagarden and his orchestra. So this one has tracks on it, starting with the Fort Knox Jump. We've got Dark Eyes, we've got Bashful Baby Blues, Persian Rug, Rhythm Hymn, H-Y-M-N, and not H-I-M. Chicks is Wonderful, and Impressions of Meadlux Lewis, which is another name that I recognize from my jazz collection. He's a really fantastic boogie-woogie pianist. Closes with the Big T Jump. And let's see, we've got June 1941, October 1941, March 1945. Oh, a couple of them recorded in 1939, April and August. Let's see, and that one was recorded in 1941. Even though the song title says Mead Lux Lewis, he does not appear to, or does not seem to appear anywhere on, let's see, and there it is, Impressions of Mead Lux Lewis, recorded October 1941. Substitute Jimmy Sims for John Falstich on trumpet, substitute Fred Keller for Seymour Goldfinger on trombone, substitute Clint Goruin for Joe Fernando on saxophone, and Myron Shapler instead of Arnold Fishkind on bass. It doesn't say what the rest of the personnel is, but they're on. Let's see, June 1941. I don't see him listed anywhere on that recording, and I don't see him listed anywhere on any of the other recordings. But it was interesting to see him at least mentioned on here. Cool to see it on a red vinyl. So this is the first one that I played out of the haul that I got this week. A little bit disappointing because when I put it on the record player, it sounded like it was mixed with much more bass than treble, and the treble was just kind of muddy and not there like it should be. I don't know if it was my setup or if it was the record, but either way, I'm glad to have some Jack Teagarden in my collection, and according to what I've already put onto Discogs, I didn't have any specifically by Jack Teagarden, so that was a good addition. So that's what I got this week. Those are my finds from the Goodwill in Fond du Lac, right next door to where my photo shoot was, where I had some work this week. Couple of things I picked up still stayed all under $10. I think I paid $9 total for all of this, and the Kodak camera was about half of that. The records were only about $1 each. But that's what I got. That's what I found this week. So that's what I've got today. See you next time.